I thought that it would be a good idea just to go over the code of the step view, the index view of the pathway. Just once again, I wasn't fully prepared on Tuesday. My apologies for that. So it felt a little bit incomplete. So I thought let's spend a session on the view on its own. And let's marry the code with what we see on the front end, because that gives us a better idea of where the code actually renders functionality. Okay, so if you remember, this is the pathway, learning views pathway index.cs.html. This is the view that the step controller calls when you click on a step. Okay, so in the pathway, the first and the last step are also steps, and I made air quotes steps, but we actually fake them as steps. The introduction and the conclusion. Okay, but let's start from the top. So there is server-side code that indicates flags that are used on the view itself and hidden fields as well that are used client-side. Then you have this part which only displays if you're not coming into the step from the app. Okay, and this section starts at the top actually. So the back buttons, the drop down, the start virtual class, the toolbox. These are not items that are shown on the mobile app. Okay. So the first is the pathway back button, the back to portal, or in some cases back to tree view. Okay, so the pathway doesn't remember where you're coming from. If you have to go back to the tree view or you're going back to the portal, and that logic is handled in the pathway back to button controls. Okay, if the introduction is not null, in other words, if I'm actually viewing the introduction, which is this little home button, then this is what is displayed. You have your continue button and you have your return to start button. So these two buttons. Return to start. And you have your introduction text. I looked for the place where this is displayed, but it does an either or. So it actually displays the button. If your introduction dot return to start root values is not null. Okay, so there is, in some cases on the introduction, you can either continue or you can start again. So in this case, the continue button is shown. If you're starting the pathway for the first time, it will only display start, which makes sense. Okay, and you have your return to start button. And that is what this else is for. This if is for in the outside the if we display the refresh, the favorite, and the pathway sharing button, which is handled. Show you now. Yeah, so sorry. First, before we get to that, if you are on the conclusion, page, or there are more than 5 pathway steps. Okay, so we're currently on the introduction page. That's why that is not applicable. If you have more than 5 pathway steps here, this drop-down displays. This drop-down displays just for easier navigation to a last step. One of the pathways I viewed yesterday is 81 steps. So if you have to scroll, it's going to take a long time to get there. Here is an example of a pathway that has 3 steps. It does not have the drop-down. So the drop-down, the pathway step drop-down is built in this portion of the code. So you loop through all the pathway step progresses. Display each item. So then we get to, if you look chronologically, the start virtual class is next. So if the virtual class is set up and the correct configuration has been done, then you will see the start virtual class button. That displays on all of the pathways if the flag is on. That's right, Gert?
That's correct.
Okay, then we get to the pathway toolbox. The toolbox is just delete, prerequisites, adding of a pathway item, editing. What is the order of this pathway item? Edit and learning mode. So that is what this code performs. If show toggle is active or show toolbox on intro is active, then you will see the toolbox button, and the toolbox bar, actually the toolbar. Let's call it the toolbar. Okay, so the first item that you'll see is the toolbox delete and toolbox prerequisites. So translation resources are used to display the text. The text when you hover over them, not physically the text on the button, when you hover over them. And then you have a list. So you have the toolbox drop down. If the conclusion is null, then you will see this plus. Okay. Conclusion is the checkered flag at the end. Okay, so you can't add a step from the conclusion, which makes sense. And then there's a toolbox divider as well. And that is literally this divider between edit and the number. Then you display the actual number, but you have a move left and a move right. So if you look at this step that I'm currently on step 1. It doesn't make sense to move something when I'm on step 1. But step 2, I can move right and left. Let's go back to step 1. Yeah, step 1, you can't move. You have to either move step 2 to step 1.
Oh, Theuns, sorry
Yes.
that I'm the reason, if you're on step 1, the reason why you can't move that particular step to the right is because it's a class step. So a class step is always the first step. You cannot move the class step from position 1. It must always be on position 1.
Makes sense. Thanks. Then you need to physically display the current step order as well. That is the number that displays here. And then you have the buttons where you toggle between edit and learning mode. So something that I haven't used a lot, but I've seen lately, is this edit button actually has a lot of navigation functionality, a shortcut, so to speak, where you can quickly navigate to the target audience for this pathway, or view the due date plans, view pathway, send pathway notifications. So some of the actions that you can perform when you go to system administration and manage pathway. Okay, and these are all of the pathway admin links. Okay. If the link type, so there's also a link type called a divider. There it displays. Okay, so just to sort of group the actions together. All right. So the next button that is displayed is if you're not in edit mode, but you can edit, then you actually see that button, okay, which is not the same as the drop-down button. Okay, else, and I just want to see this one. This is the edit toggle facilitator mode. Else you're the teacher, so it seems as if there is another facilitator mode. Is there hard a facilitator button, or what does this mean? I tried to figure this one out.
Yeah, the teacher mode is basically when you maintain a pathway at the admin side, then you can, the teacher is not like an admin person, but the teacher must still be able to edit the pathway and stuff. So she or he will not see all the options, but they must still be able to add pathways and move it around and stuff. So
Okay.
you can see that basically on the admin side, when you the classes, then you can say can edit, there's a checkbox, then you can add the
Yes.
person as a facilitator. The facilitator and the teacher is basically the same.
Okay, that makes
So
sense. But
if you log
but
in
the
as a,
text, but the
sorry?
sorry,
No, you can continue.
the text, does the text change to facilitator mode then?
Yes, the text changes as well, yeah.
Okay. Great. That makes a whole lot of sense. All right, so the last button is the learner mode. We can toggle the learner mode when you're in edit mode. Okay. All right, then this is one that I only found when I clicked on step 1, and that is this button when you want to switch classes. So when there's more than one class added to a pathway, you see that button. And that allows you to switch between the classes. So if you select the other class, obviously there will be different, might be overlapping, but should be different employees. Okay, there's no one there yet. All right. Any questions so far? Then you have the refresh, the favorite, and the share. They stay the same. So this is the refresh. So there's a refresh URL. And if you look at it, let's just look at the URL. There is actually, if I remember it correctly, just the step URL with the encrypted query string again. So it's as if you navigate and loading that step for the first time, right?
Yeah, it's basically, it just calls that same controller. I think it's the step controller.
Yeah.
And it
And
loads
maybe
it loads basically everything from scratch. Yeah.
from scratch. All right. If the introduction is not null, so this means you are currently on this first one. If the introduction is not null, you have a last attempted step.id. And you have a step count of 0. So this just displays a warning page that something to the effect of there should be steps linked to this pathway. That means the pathway was accessed, but you came back and now there's nothing. Also, you load the introduction step, which is this step, which is this detail. Basically inside from the bottom of the first row down is now the introduction partial. Just go to the, let me just show you. I'm not going to go through each step type. This content is now basically loaded when you click on that step. Right. All right, then you have assignment steps. It's not null. So I have checked this. This is when you're on an assignment step, right, Gert? This is when you're on an assignment step and what the actions are you need to take. But the only thing I didn't get what it actually does is what does it load from the assignment steps as an example, Gert?
That is now on the introduction. So
We're not on the introduction anymore, so we pause the introduction. Let me just change. Oh, sorry, not that one.
that code that you're looking at was on the introduction partial.
Oh, sorry, that's why I couldn't remember it. My bad. Okay. Okay, so then you reach this part. Actually, I'm going to go into the pathway. We now physically build this row, which is either then tabs or indicators. Okay, so it says so it shows the left chevron. If you need to scroll over here, then there's a chevron or a triangle that displays that allows you to navigate. Obviously, on the click of that icon, it actually scrolls left and right, which is formed with that JavaScript function. Right, if it's a tab display, it basically loads all of the steps now as tabs. Else it loads all of the steps as indicators. Now that is in short what that code does. If there's a grouping step, it actually calculates what should display there differently. Number of children as child steps. Okay, so that determines what number is displayed over here. Okay, and then your scroller ends. So if you have 82 steps like the pathway I opened the other day, then you would scroll a very long way over here and back again. So that is the right triangle. The chevron right. Okay, and the end of pathway title shows for the last pathway step. This is the conclusion step. All right. If you're in edit mode and you can edit the additional resources if they are available display. The first button that is actually displayed is to add additional resources, which is this part, the span, or this button. It's a grouping step. Like on step 1. Then there is a divider, and I assume Gert, the divider is this port over here, this box.
Yeah, that's correct. But that is the grouping. Where are we now?
Oh, sorry, this is the clause-based step. Sorry, this is the grouping step.
Yes, there is the divider next to
Yeah.
the add additional resources.
Okay. Okay, and then you have your new item, obviously your new item button, add to top, add to bottom buttons. All right, and they are rendered over here. Okay, then you are on the conclusion step. So conclusion step is this step which actually loads the conclusion partial. Okay, if you're not in the conclusion step, then you're actually in a step now, in one of the steps. Okay, so it determines if your step type, you remember you can deactivate and activate the step type. That is used over here. So the first part of your step, if you have prerequisites, will show your prerequisite status on top. Okay, let's add a prerequisite for the step. Okay. There's actually no content linked to the steps. Let's link something. So your prerequisite, you've maybe all seen that that's the crosses or check marks at the top against the prerequisites. This displays the status of each prerequisite.
I think there might be a bug there somewhere, Theuns. Because it should have shown the prerequisites after you saved them.
Okay, this is viewed in learning mode. Okay, so there is a bug, it seems. Let's go to edit mode again. Go to the step prerequisites. So there is. Oh, it actually doesn't display anything there. Let's use the assessment. Yeah, there's your prerequisites. That heading was just empty, Gert. And I think for that reason it didn't, for that.
Yes.
Because you selected the multi-item, you have to select something within the multi-item.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. That makes sense. Okay, so this is your prerequisite section. If the step has prerequisites, you go through each of them, display the status and the prerequisite item over here. All right, if the step is not null and the step is locked, you display a warning message. Let's just edit the step. Lock it. Now he's going to ask me to change his pathway. This is viewed in learner mode. Locked error message. Maybe I'm trying to lock the multi-step here.
Now when you go to learner mode, I think it's gone. So if you go to step 2 and you go to learner mode, and you can't as a learner select that step anymore.
Oh yes. Can't select step 7 anymore. Makes sense. Let me just unlock this. Okay. Okay, so this is for the deadline for the due date. If it's not completed, also locks this step. Step is not available if you haven't completed it by the due date. Okay. I can't remember if it displays the same as the prerequisites, but you're not able to download or do anything. Just stops you, displays a message, displays an image. Okay. Then you're actually now on the 4 steps, and it displays this heading and the subheading. The partial is not empty. We will also go into this if statement. If there are additional resources and you are in edit mode, and the pathway step, and you haven't reached the log date, it's not logged by the prerequisites. Okay. Then you can actually see the additional resources. If there are additional resources, we just make something sure here. Okay, so you're not editing, you're viewing the additional resources as a learner. Okay, and then if the step item is not a class item, the pathway steps description displays here. If the partial is not empty, step error message. So there's actually a step error message card, and I think that comes from when you select the view model, and there's some other error on the pathway where you're not able to view the step, then that message will display here.
Yeah, it's basically per step. You can set a step error message.
And
If there
message.
is a warning, and if there is like something wrong with the data, it will give a step error message as well.
Yeah, and there's a step warning message, and then there's this log. Else the step actually then loads now, finally, HTML.partial. Okay, there's also a footer message. Let us go to one of the other steps. We go into learning mode. Just want to see what displays on the footer. Let's just quickly see. So there can be either a completed message that you've completed the pathway. But this is also set when you select the view model of the specific step. Okay. There's also prerequisites are not null or empty, and the prerequisites count is equal to the prerequisite progress count. Then the step is actually unlocked. That's right, Gert. Displays
That's correct.
unlock.
Yeah.
Displays the unlock icon. Right. If the pathway steps progress is not null and the pathway is completed, we'll actually show this message. Go to step 1. 1 year ago. Okay, which means you completed it 1 year ago. Okay. The step item is a class item. Sorry, I just wanted to see what it was. Okay. Yeah. So if the step type is a class item, then the spot will be hidden. And this is a status icon that actually displays to the right-hand side. In cases where you've completed it, it will display a check mark over here. As that is the case, for instance, you've completed it. So okay, again, if it's not from the app, I'm just reading this in English. Model.navigation buttons equals both. And these are the navigation buttons over here. Am I right, Gert? Right over here and left.
That's correct, yeah.
To navigate between the steps. You have the nav right. Okay, if the conclusion is not null, obviously you will only have the chevron left button, which makes sense. All right, we're almost at the bottom of this view. So we got to the bottom of it today. Okay, so if the prerequisite count is completed, the step is not null. The prerequisite progress count, it will show the prerequisites and the progresses. Just want to confirm where this displays now.
It's a modal that opens, but that just shows the prerequisites.
All right, so when I am on, let's say when I'm on the document step. Okay. Okay, so can you open the modal from when you view it as a learner, then from this page?
Sorry, I'm not sure where that modal is opened.
Yeah.
I need to go check.
So probably there's a condition where you view the prerequisites together or in a modal. I'm not 100% sure because there is a place where you actually display the prerequisites on top. These prerequisites. Okay, I'll go and find out where that is. Okay, so then you have an input modal for the, so when you switch between classes, it opens up this modal. Okay, you have a ratings modal where you actually rate the pathway as a learner and enter text. If you have multiple platforms, then it will allow you to choose either Teams or Zoom. Yeah, I think that is that is it for that view for now.
No.
For now. Okay.
One down, 22 partial views to go.
Yeah. But the partial views, it just feels better if the view is smaller. So that we can go through them as well. But this is just probably one of the bigger views in the system that is used in the pathway for pathway step. All right.
Yeah, and luckily you don't go. No, you're not going to go into the script as well of this view, because that is also like a mile long almost.
Yeah. This is the spot where I collapsed it. Yeah, so we don't have to dive into it today. Any questions for Gert?
Not yet.
Not yet.
After you open the script, we'll have lots of questions.
Okay. Yeah, but Gert, the development here, so it would be straightforward.
Did everything.
No,
Well,
I did some of the work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, William, anything from your side?
Yeah, no, thank you, Theuns.
All right. I think that's deep enough for today. Okay. Do you prefer, just asking, that we carry on with the pathway in the sessions to come, or first do sessions on the assessment builder? What do you prefer?
I think we
would-
can move to this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I also prefer the assessment builder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks everybody for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.